is a jawbreaker, and I've never actually finished one before, but I just saw a video saying they have gum in the middle, so I have to figure out if that's true. I got the smaller one so I can actually get to the center this time. Here we go. Respectfully, I only have like 20 minutes to film this video, so I'm gonna have to find a quicker way. Does it work? I've got an idea. Chat, this is gonna take a while. Ready? Oh, let's just throw it at something. Break. Oh, where's the gun? Here we go. Is that gun? It is! Apparently these matches never go out, even if you blow on them, or put water on them. So I'm gonna see just how strong they are. Wait, why is it getting lower? Wait, why is it getting lower? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Actually, I'm not even joking. It won't go out! It won't go out! I put it in the sink and it caused a lot of smoke, so now my mom said I can't do the video anymore, guys. I just got a letter saying my brother's having a baby, but he put the gender of it inside this card. So I'm gonna see whether I'll become an aunt or an uncle. Here we go. It's a girl. I'm an aunt! I just tried buying a soda from 7-Eleven, but when I went to check out, the cashier said I could get 2 more. So I thought it was a buy one, get 2 free deal. But when I finally checked out, the cashier charged me for all 3. What was the point of even saying you could get 2 more then? I'm going to the airport with a spoon tied to my leg, so that way TSA is forced to pat me down, because this is the only chance I ever get to feel physical touch. Apparently if you shake a soda can, but then you tap on the sides of it after, then it won't explode when you open it. So I'm gonna see if that's true. I'm tapping on it a lot to make sure nothing bad happens, and I'm not cutting the video because I don't want you to think I'm lying. So now I'm gonna open it. Here we go. Oh no. Okay. Wait, it actually worked. Wait, it actually worked. It actually worked. Today we're gonna see if I can fill this glass to the top without spilling with my eyes closed. Okay, I'm just gonna go straight off sound, so let's listen. That feels about halfway. Wait, why does it already sound full? That's a pretty loud stream. I'm comparing it to my stream when I pee, and that seems almost full. Keep going. I'm just gonna go for like 5 seconds. I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. Okay, I think I'm gonna do about 2 more seconds of it, and then I think it'll be full. 1, 2. Okay, let's see how full it is. Bro, what? No, I don't care if it's cheating, I'm still going. Okay, and... now. Oh, first try! Bang! If you ever have a headache, just drink matcha. It won't cure your headache, but it will taste so disgusting that you forget you even have one for a second. Look, if you see your teacher in public, do not talk to them. Because one time, I was at the grocery store, and out of the corner of my eye, I see my history teacher. But he was one of the teachers I actually liked, so I was gonna go up to him and say hi. Until he made eye contact with me, because once he did that, he looked away super quick and started walking the other direction. So I was like, dang, I guess he just doesn't like me like I thought. But then it started to make more sense what really happened the next day at school. Because I walk into his class, and he has all the lights off, and right as the bell rings, he looks super tired and tells the whole class that we're gonna be watching a movie today instead of doing any actual work. So this is where I started to connect the dots of why he actually ran away from me, because when I saw him at the store, he had a lot of alcoholic beverages in his shopping cart, so he definitely went home that day and drank a bunch, which is why he was tired, but he probably just didn't want me to know that. You could've just told me that though, Teach. I ain't mad at you. Nobody talks about how frustrating it is when your friend owes you money, yet they keep buying stuff. Like me and my friend went out to eat one time, but he said he didn't get paid till next week, so he asked if I could pay for his meal, which came out to be $22. So when the day came where he got paid, I didn't even ask for my money back. I was just hoping he would give it to me on his own, but he didn't. So about 3 days later, we're hanging out, and I ask him if he can pay me back. But he's like, sorry man, I don't have the money yet. Just give me a couple more days. So I'm like, no worries, dude, that's totally fine. Just let me know when you get the money. And I wasn't upset at all, until I saw the story he posted the next day. Because you know where he was at? The casino! But the funny thing was, in the picture he posted, you could see the machine he was using, and it said he put $100 in there. Where'd you get that money from? He ain't borrowing from me anymore, I can tell you that. Have you ever had a dream about someone so then you started liking them in real life? Because one night, I go to sleep like normal, but I have a dream out of nowhere about this girl in my math class, and it felt straight out of a rom-com. So when the morning comes, I'm in love with this girl. And you may say, well Tyler, surely you liked this girl before the dream too, right? No! I barely even knew she existed. She was a girl in my math class I talked to maybe once, which is more than I talk to most women, I guess. But anyways, the point is, I never thought about this girl. But all of a sudden, when I had that dream, I thought she was my soulmate. Like I was planning our future together in my head, but this just shows how much I didn't know who she was. Cause I start looking into her more to learn more about her, and it turns out she had a boyfriend the whole time. So I don't know who's responsible for writing these dreams, but why do you have to play with my emotions like that, man? I mean, would I have even talked to her in real life? Probably not. But still. Have you ever told your mom to say no to a sleepover because you didn't want to go? Because I hated sleepovers as a child since I'd always be the first to fall asleep. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a tooth missing or something because everyone else would mess with me. But I have cool parents, so most of the time when one of my friends asked if I wanted to sleep over, my mom would say yes. So eventually, when I didn't want to go, I would just text my mom and be like, Mom, I'm gonna call you in a couple minutes to ask if I can sleep over at my friend's house. Please say no. And my mom would rather have me sleeping at home than at a friend's anyway, so she had no problem doing it. But my friends would always get mad at me because this is how the phone call would go. Hey mom, can I sleep over at my friend's house? No. Okay, bye. So they'd be like, dude, you didn't even try to convince her at all. And I would just be like, what? Yeah, I did. Little did they know, I was just terrified to fall asleep around. This is your warning to never text a girl past midnight. Because I used to like this girl, so I would stay up late texting her every night. And I really enjoyed it. But this turned out to be a huge mistake because one night, we're texting at like 12:15 a.m. And I'm super tired because I went on a hike that day. So I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. But we're having a really good conversation, so I don't want to just end it and respond the next day because that would have ruined the flow of it. So I'm fighting super hard to stay awake until eventually, my body forces me to fall asleep. So the next morning, I wake up and check my phone to see that this girl texted me saying, wow, that's so rude of you to say. But I don't remember what I said last night, so I'm like, what is she talking about? So I click on our conversation to see what made her say that, and then I started to remember what happened. Because before I fell asleep, my friend was also texting me asking when I wanted to go snowboarding. So I responded to him saying, I don't care. Or at least I thought I did. Turns out, I actually sent the girl that text because I was so tired. But this was really bad because you know what she said before I sent that text? She said, my grandma's had heart disease for a while. So basically, I said, I don't care about that. Well, isn't that great time? Sleeping over at a rich person's house is so crazy because one time, my friend Colin invited me over for a sleepover, but I had never been to his house before. So when I arrived to the address he gave me, I knock on the door and a man in a fancy outfit answers, but I knew it wasn't his parents because I've seen them before. So this guy asks if I'm here to see my friend and I say yes. So he welcomes me in and tells me where Colin's at. And when I get to Colin, I ask who that guy at the front door was and he goes, oh, that's our butler. Dog, you have a butler? I thought that was just a thing in Batman. But then it gets more crazy because around midnight, he asks all of us if we want to go to the movie theater. So I was like, I mean, that sounds fun, but isn't the movies closed by now? And he goes, oh no, we have a movie theater in the house. So he takes us into the movie theater room and there's like 10 reclining chairs and like a 500-inch TV. The moment I saw this, I was on my best behavior the rest of the time because I was hoping his parents would just adopt me. Nobody talks about how scary it is when you're at your friend's house and their parents start yelling at them. Because I had a friend whose house I went to once and never again because the one time I went, it was so awkward. Like right when we walked inside his house, he tried introducing me to his mom, but she wouldn't even acknowledge my existence because right away, once she saw her son, she was like, Riley, why did I just get your report card in the mail and see that you're failing math? And he was like, Mom, we talked about this the other day. So they start yelling over each other, arguing, but Riley made a huge mistake because he got so mad that he cursed at her. And right when he did that, the mom completely stopped talking, went into another room, came back with a belt, and whooped him. All while I was right there watching. And then when it was over, he's wiping tears from his eyes, and I'm just like, hey man, I got a call from my mom. I actually have to go, sorry. What are you even supposed to do in that situation? I don't know who felt more embarrassed in that moment, me or him. This is your warning to never be friends with a bilingual person. Because I have a friend that speaks English and Spanish, but his parents are from Mexico, so they don't know any English. So when I met them for the first time, it was a nightmare because my friend likes to troll a lot, but he had to be the translator for me to communicate with his parents since he was the only one who knew both languages. So when we talked, he would purposely mistranslate what I said to his parents because he thought it was funny. Like I was in the car with his whole family and his mom asked what type of music I listened to. So I told her that I mostly listen to rap and R&B. But when I said this, my friend starts chuckling when he's trying to relay the message to his parents. But then I understood it because when he spoke Spanish back to his parents, I only recognized one of the words he said, which was Diddy. He told his parents that I like to listen to Diddy. So from there on out, I just started using my phone to translate what they said. Why do girls make it so hard to tell when they like you? Because I probably would have had a girlfriend by now if all girls weren't like this. Like anytime I was ever into a girl, when I would see them, I'd smile and try to make it really obvious that I liked them. But the response back would always be them giving me a face like this. And you may be like, well, Tyler, that just means they don't like you. And that's what I used to think too, but no. Because there have been multiple scenarios where a girl would look at me as if she thought I was the most disgusting creature ever, only to find out later that she liked me. I don't know what love language that is, but all girls seem to have it. And this is why I never ask girls out, because even if I like someone, I literally have no idea if they like me back because of how girls act when they're into someone. She could literally despise me or have a crush on me, and she'd give me the same exact look. I'm never gonna understand Gen Alpha, because I was at the airport the other day, and this little kid on my flight recognized me. So we were talking a little bit, but then he started to tell me about the girl he has a crush on. And he starts describing her to me, but he's blushing as he's doing it, so I can tell that he really likes her. So eventually, I ask how they met, and he says that they've known each other since birth. So I'm like, oh wow, are your parents friends or something? But then he goes, no, my mom is her dad's sister. At first I'm like, oh, cool. But then I think about it a little more, and I'm like, wait, your mom is her dad's sister. That means that girl is your cousin. He's still young though, so that's not a big deal. But I was thinking that I should probably tell him that it's not gonna work out between them. So I do, and he goes, oh, okay, I won't like her anymore then. I like another girl anyway. And I go, Oh, really? Who? Then he says, my crush's sister. That's still your cousin, dog. At this point, you do you, bro. This is your warning to never wake your mom up when she's sleeping. Because when I was younger, I had a really bad tummy ache one night, and I didn't know what to do, so I went into my parents' room, tapped on my dad a couple times trying to wake him up, but of course he didn't because he's busy snoring at 500 decibels. So then I go over to my mom's side of the bed, and my mom is a really light sleeper, so right when I tapped on her arm, she goes, and I start panicking like, oh my gosh, mom, are you okay? She jumped up like she was just in a nightmare getting flashbacks from the war. But then once she sees me, she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? So I'm like, that's weird. But I kind of just brush it off because my stomach hurts so bad. But the next day, I asked her why she always jolts up like that right when I wake her up. And she goes, what are you talking about? She literally did not even know that's how she reacts when someone wakes her up. I guess she must just not be fully conscious yet when she does that. I had to stop waking her up in the middle of the night because it scared me so much. It was like winding up a Jack in the Box waiting for it to jump out at you. Do you ever need an excuse to skip school? Do not say you have to go to a funeral. Because one time, I was going on vacation with my family, so I was gonna miss some school. But I needed an excuse to tell my teacher to not get in trouble. And I decided to tell her that I was going to my grandma's funeral. But I really didn't want her to question it, so I made it super dramatic and I was like, yeah, this is the last grandma I had. But I really shouldn't have said this because the teacher told me to take as much time off as I need. So a couple months later, the end of the school year came around, and this was my last year of elementary school, so we had like a graduation event for everyone that was gonna be moving on to middle school. But guess who came to this event? My grandma. And I totally forgot that I told my teacher she passed away. So when the event ended, my teacher came to say goodbye and she started talking to my whole family, including my grandma. So when my grandma introduced herself, my teacher looked as if she saw a ghost, because she probably thought she did. Once I realized why she had that look on her face, I was like, okay, time to go. I'm just glad I never had to go back. Remembering you have free will is so crazy because I used to get bullied in school for being a little chubby. It wasn't that bad, it was just kind of annoying. But anyways, this one guy would always make jokes about me. So one day, I'm at school and he's cooking me like usual, saying I got more rolls than a Thanksgiving dinner. Good one, can't lie. But he's making all these jokes and I'm getting so angry that I'm about to do something that's gonna get me put in detention. But then randomly out of nowhere, I was like, wait, I don't have to listen to this. So as he's making fun of me, without saying anything, I just start walking away. And the guy kind of stutters for a second because he's confused what I'm doing. So then he's like, hey, where are you going? But I just ignored him and kept walking until he stopped trying to say anything to me. And once I realized this works, I just did it every day until eventually he stopped bothering me. I'm gonna just leave every time I'm talking to someone I don't want to talk to. Nobody talks about how scary it is when you get called to the principal's office and your whole friend group is there. Because one time I was in class and the school phone starts ringing, so my teacher picks it up and is like, okay, I'll tell her. Tyler, you need to go to the principal's office right now. So I'm thinking my mom pulled me out of school to go on a vacation or something, and I'm not worried at all until I arrive to the office. And inside, I see 4 of my friends. But not only were they my friends, they were all people I'm in a group chat with. And they're looking at me all worried, so I'm like, oh no. I know what happened. Our group chat text finally got leaked. It's over. We're cooked. Or at least that's what I thought. Because once I arrived, the principal told us she was glad we were all there because she needed to talk to us as a group. But what she told us was that she saw us jaywalking one day after school and that we need to stop doing that. When she said that, we all took a big exhale looking at each other. As long as she didn't find out about the group chat, I don't care what we're getting in trouble for. Does anyone else have a friend who eats non-stop but never gains weight? Like, I know a guy who will eat in literally any scenario, yet he's still super skinny. And I'm not even exaggerating, because his sister had a baby recently, and he sent me a bunch of pictures of him holding it for the first time in the delivery room. And he said they were taken like 20 minutes after the baby was born. But what I found odd about the pictures was that in a lot of them, his mouth looked full. So I was like, dude, did you get stung by a bee or something while you were in there? And he was like, no, I was eating Burger King. So I was like, hold up, let me get this straight. You were eating Burger King in the delivery room 20 minutes after your sister had a baby. And he goes, yeah, I was hungry. You're always hungry. That doesn't mean you eat a Whopper 14 seconds after your baby nephew is born. But the craziest part is that he does stuff like this all the time, yet he never gains weight. Meanwhile, I sniffed a cinnamon roll the other day and gained 13 pounds. Must be nice. Waking up first at a sleepover is the worst thing ever. Because whenever I was at a sleepover, I would always wake up at like 6 a.m. because I can't sleep unless I'm in my own bed. So I'd obviously be the first one awake. But this was a big problem because the only other person who was up would be my friend's dad. And don't get me wrong, I like my friend's dad, but he scared me. He wasn't much of a talker. So when the morning came around and it was just us 2 up, he would be like, I'm making breakfast right now. I'll make you some too. And I couldn't decline the breakfast because that would be rude. But when he made it, we would just sit there eating together without him saying anything. We'd literally be at the table sitting across from each other and he would just be silent the whole time. And I was like 10, so I didn't know how to have a conversation with an adult. So it was the most awkward thing ever. But after the first couple times this happened, I just pretended to be asleep after I woke up. I'd still be up at like 6 a.m., but I would just sit there with my eyes closed for like 4 hours waiting for my friends to wake up. Maybe the reason I always woke up first at my friend's house was because he would just give me a cardboard box to sleep on and not a real bed. I miss those days. Why do old people never throw expired food away? Like, they'll have food from before World War II in their house, and that's not even an exaggeration because I went to my friend's grandpa's house one time and we were hungry, so my friend asked his grandpa if he had any snacks, and he was like, yeah, check the fridge. So we open it and we find some cheese, so we're like, ooh, let's have cheese and crackers. So my friend asks his grandpa again if they have have any crackers? And he says, yeah, check the pantry. But we couldn't find any. So he comes to help us look, and he reaches all the way in the back to find this dusty aluminum container. And when he opens it, there's crackers inside. But the container looks straight out of the war, so my friend made a joke saying, hey grandpa, did you get this when you were fighting in the war? And with a straight face, he goes, yeah. So my friend was like, wait, are you serious? And he says, yeah, I got these fighting in Vietnam. Those crackers were 60 years old. He lost his hearing in the war, but he made sure to keep his crackers. Why do teachers have such weird bathroom passes? Like, they'll give you a sword from the Revolutionary War and tell you to take that to the bathroom. And I'm not even kidding, because in one of my classes, on the first day of school, I had to go to the bathroom. So I went up to the teacher and asked. But I was terrified after doing this, because when I did it, she pulled out a baseball bat. So I'm thinking she's about to swing on me or something, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I won't ask to go again. But then she tried handing the bat to me, and she was like, here, take this. So then I was like, for what? And she goes, this is the bathroom pass. Oh, okay, I got it. One question though. Why? You couldn't have just given me something smaller? How do you expect me to go number one while holding that thing? I only got 2 hands, girl. Also, isn't that considered like a weapon? You're giving me a weapon as a bathroom pass. Do you know how ridiculous I looked going to the bathroom while holding that? Let's just say, it made the janitor's life a lot harder. Nobody talks about how scary it is going to school the day after getting a bad haircut. Because when I was younger, my mom sent me to this barber that would absolutely cook my hair. So I was terrified to go to school after getting it cut every single time. This is how it would go. I would get the horrible haircut, lie and tell the barber that I like it, then go to school the next day with a hat on. But all the other kids at school knew I wasn't a hat guy, so whenever I wore one, they were aware that there was only one reason for it. So the whole day, everyone at school would try taking my hat off to the point where I just contemplated gluing that thing to my head. And when they finally got it off, some of the kids would laugh at me, deservedly so. But the reactions I despised the most were the kids who would try being nice and say something like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, do you think I don't have a mirror at home? I'm not blind. I know I look like Willy Wonka right now. I am aware the barber cooked me. The worst part is I know he's out there ruining other kids' haircuts to this day, just like he did to mine. I feel so bad for them. Staying home sick from school is the worst because you cannot act happy at all. Like, if you let out even the tiniest smile, your mom will sprint in there asking why you're smiling if you're sick. This isn't even exaggerating either, because whenever I would tell my parents I didn't want to go to school, my mom would be like, okay, but you're not allowed to have your phone or watch TV if you're sick. What does that got to do with it? You think a detox from the internet is gonna cure my sickness? Well, it might, to be honest, but that's not the point. Like, my mom would literally tell me that I don't need to watch TV and I should just go back to sleep if I'm sick. But what am I gonna do? Sleep for 20 hours? So whenever I stayed home from school for being sick, my day literally just consisted of staring at the wall for 10 hours. The worst part was that I always smile in situations where I'm not supposed to. So when my mom would ask if I was actually sick, I would be like, yeah, and she wouldn't believe me. I promise I'm not lying. I just can't control it. I'd rather go to school anyway. If you see me in public, please don't take a video of me without me knowing, because I was eating at Chili's the other night with my family, and I'm having a good time until I get the feeling that someone is looking at me. So I glance over to my right and see this kid eyeballing me. But he turned away super quickly, so I could tell he knew who I was. But instead of just coming up to me and saying hi, he took a video of me. And I didn't even notice he did this until the next day. I was getting tagged a bunch in this random post. So I click on it, and it's a video of me eating at Chili's that the kid took. And usually, I wouldn't even care. Like, y'all can do whatever you want when you see me in public. But the one reason I really didn't like this specific scenario was because in the video he took, I was mowing down some chips and salsa with the worst posture ever. Like, I was eating faster than a British person after discovering seasoning. So if you're gonna record me, at least make me look good, man. This is your warning to never correct your teacher. Because I had a teacher who was pregnant. I know, shocker, teachers are always pregnant. But anyways, because of this, she was super emotional sometimes. And there was one day where you could tell she was really frustrated. So she's teaching our math class, and she tries adding 2 numbers together, but she gets the answer wrong. So most of us students are looking at each other like, should we tell her she made a mistake? But then we all kind of silently agreed not to because we could tell she was in a bad mood. But apparently one of the students did not get the memo because he raises his hand. So the teacher calls on him and he goes, actually the answer is supposed to be 573, not 473. But you could tell this was the teacher's final straw because once he said this, the teacher put her marker down and goes, Albert, do you want to teach the class? And he responds by saying, I was just trying to help. But then she was like, let me do my job. If I made a mistake, I'll figure it out. So we all just looked at Albert like, why would you say that? Like, you knew that was gonna happen. She was so angry, I thought she was gonna pop the baby out right. Does anyone else have a friend you'll be on FaceTime with for no reason at all? Like, you don't even gotta be talking or paying attention to each other. And you're always doing the most random things while on it. Like, I was on FaceTime with my friend once while I was making food, and my mom came in, but she didn't even notice him, because neither of us were talking. But then he coughed, which made my mom flinch and go, did you hear that? And I said, hear what? Then she goes, I'm pretty sure I just heard someone cough. So I was like, oh yeah, that's James. And I showed her the phone, but then she was like, since when were you guys talking to each other? And I was like, about the past 2 hours. Then she asked why no one was speaking if we were on the phone this whole time, and I was like, I don't know, we just kind of like to chill in each other's presence, to be honest. But what makes this hilarious is James didn't even hear any of this conversation because he had me muted. Why was I muted, you ask? He was at the dentist. We were FaceTiming while he was getting a cavity removed. So when I say we FaceTime for no reason at all, I mean it. My barber got deported a couple weeks ago, so I'm trying a new one for the first time, and I'm kind of nervous. I hope he does a good job. Ever get a haircut from a deaf person? Because my barber got deported recently, which means I had to find a new one. So I tried out this place I've never been to before today, and right when I walk in, all of the barbers are busy except one. So he waves in my direction, signaling for me to come over, so I do. But after I sit down, he doesn't ask what type of haircut I want or say anything at all. So I just take the initiative and start telling him the style I'm looking for. But as I'm doing that, another barber hears me and goes, "Oh, he can't hear you, he's deaf." First of all, he had an AirPod in. Why was he wearing that? But second of all, how am I gonna tell him the haircut I want? So the other barber says to show him a picture, so I do. But this is where I messed up, because in the picture I showed him, it was just how I wanted the sides to look, not the top. But obviously he couldn't hear me, so he thought I wanted the exact haircut from the pic. And what did that picture look like? This! I look like an egg! The whole process was a train wreck too. There was a point where he was using the razor on me, but it wasn't even on, and he couldn't notice because he didn't hear it. So honestly, this was probably all my fault. But if you have a barber like this, make sure you're specific. For any girl that ever wants to know if a guy likes you, it's super easy to tell. Because my friend started liking this girl recently, but he didn't even tell me. I just figured it out on my own because of what he was doing. Because I was scrolling through social media and I saw that he posted a story, which was weird in itself because he never posts at all. But I click on it and it's a photo of a sunset with a Lana Del Rey song in the background. By the way, this guy's top artists last year were NBA Youngboy and Chief Keef. There's a 95% chance his most recent Google search was something along the lines of, "Is Lana Del Rey a person or a place?" Do you really think someone that blasts NBA Youngboy is taking sunset pictures? Maybe. So when he posted this, I slid up on the story and said, "What's her name?" Then he replied saying, "Huh?" So I asked what the name of the girl he likes was, and he goes, "Damn, was it that obvious?" Well, considering the fact that you used to think Dua Lipa was the name of a yoga stretch, yeah, it was pretty obvious. We really need to teach our parents how to use emojis correctly, because my mom was just texting me about the fires that are happening in California, and I was saying how it's super sad because a lot of people lost their homes, and some people even passed away. But in response to saying this, my mom sends me a message that says, "Yeah, apparently over 20 people have already passed away from the fire." But that wasn't the end of the message. You know what she sent right after that? 3 emojis, and it was the fire emoji, the skull emoji, and the freaky ghost emoji that sticks its tongue out. The emojis literally made it sound like she was telling a joke, and I was like, "Mom, that is not the right context to use those." But then I sent the skull emoji after saying that, so she was like, "Why are you allowed to use the skull emoji in that text, but I can't use it in mine?" And it made me realize, I was like, dang, she's right, because her situation was actually appropriate for the skull emoji while mine wasn't. But because we've changed the meaning of the emoji, it just doesn't fit there. Please teach your parents what the emojis mean. Someone asks you to guess their ethnicity, don't do it. Because I just saw this pretty girl at the airport, so I started talking to her, and eventually she asked what ethnicity I was, so I told her, but then I asked what hers was, and she wanted me to guess, and she kind of looked European, so I was like, "Are you Italian?" She says no, so then I asked if she's Spanish. She says no again. So I guessed a couple more incorrect countries until it got to the point where it started to become awkward. So finally, I just asked her to tell me, and she said that she was German. But the only thing I knew about Germany was World War II, so I had the worst possible reaction to this information. Because I said to her, "Oh, Germany, nice. You guys had that 1 liter back in World War II, huh?" And she just had that look on her face that was like, "What did you just say?" And I don't blame her, because I was also thinking, what the heck did I just say? So right after that, she told me she had to get to her gate, which I knew was a lie because she said she was flying to Houston, and the only plane going there wasn't leaving for another 2 hours. I don't blame her though. I would have left that conversation as soon as possible too. I need to learn more about other countries, bro. Never answer the phone they put in hotel rooms. Because I was staying at a hotel last week, and it was really old, so I was already a little spooked. But around 1 a.m., while I'm sleeping, I get a call on the hotel phone, and I'm thinking to myself, who is calling in the middle of the night on the hotel phone? Because you can only call those if you're in the hotel, so I knew it was someone else staying there. So I pick it up, but all I hear is breathing. So I say, "Hello, is anyone there?" But no response, just breathing. So I'm spooked, and I hang up the phone, then go back to bed, trying not to think about it anymore. Until about 5 minutes later, I get a call again, so I pick it up and say, "Is someone pranking me or something?" And finally, I hear a voice. So I say hello again, but they don't respond, which makes me hang up. But then a couple minutes later, someone knocks on my door. So at this point, I'm shaking, and I nervously look through the peephole, and guess who it is? An employee. Because right when I checked into the hotel 4 hours ago, I asked them if they could bring me extra towels, but apparently they were busy until 1 a.m. So they were finally bringing them to me, but their phone didn't work, I guess, when they were calling, so that's why they were just breathing. I'm glad that's all it was. But why are you bringing my towels in the middle of the night? Why do middle school teachers make high school sound so scary? Because when I was in middle school, one of my classmates unfortunately passed away from a sickness. And you may be like, "Tyler, what does that have to do with your teacher making high school sound scary?" Well, after this happened, there was a day in class where everyone was misbehaving, so the teacher screamed, which made everyone go quiet. Then she said, "You guys think you can act like this in high school? You can't. If you try acting like this over there, you're gonna end up like Michael." Michael was the kid who passed away, by the way. But what did she even mean by that? Was it a threat? Because it kind of sounded like a threat. So anyways, after she said this, I was absolutely terrified for high school, thinking it was gonna be like a max security prison in there. But in reality, The teachers did not care. Like, high school was so chill that I used to play Call of Duty with one of my teachers. I'm pretty sure that teacher was just trying to threaten us. Rich people spend money on the dumbest things. Because I know someone who got hired by this really rich guy to literally just follow him around all day and take notes on what he says. Because he wants to write a book with all of his tips on how to become wealthy. So my friend starts doing this job, but after a couple of days, he was already bored of the job and he was like, there's gotta be a more efficient way to do this. And that was when he realized he could just use this AI note taker instead of having to listen to what he says all day. All he had to do was press record, and when the guy would talk, it would listen to everything he said. And once he stopped recording, it turned everything he said into notes for him. So my friend literally got paid $300 a day just to follow this guy around and record what he says. The most funny part is, the rich guy could have just used this app himself to record what he said. It's called TurboLearn, by the way, if you want to use it. But he didn't even need to hire anyone. My friend definitely ain't complaining. Nobody talks about how scary it was when the principal came to your classroom during school. Because I remember one time during class, all the students were talking, but the moment that door opened and we saw that it was the principal, the whole class immediately went silent. You would have thought she was a military leader with how scared she made everyone without even saying anything. She walked in and I was like, should I salute her or something? I don't know. But what was so funny about when the principal came to our class was our teacher would turn from the meanest person ever to the kindest. All of a sudden, someone would answer a question and the teacher would be like, good job, Anthony, you're so smart. Even though just 2 days ago, she told Anthony he's gonna be working at Walmart when he graduates. But what was really scary was when the principal would sit down next to you. Cause she sat down next to me a couple times and she would be like, what are you working on? And my hand would be shaking and I'd be like, I don't know, I was watching LeBron highlights. Then 5 minutes later, she would just vanish. I don't think my heart rate has been that high since. A girl came up to me today and asked for my number for the first time in my life. And I know what you're gonna say. Was she attractive? Well, she was like 65 years old. And I'm pretty sure she was homeless because she didn't have shoes and she was barking at people. But a win is a win, right? A win is a win. One thing you should never do during a school fire drill is use the bathroom. Cause one time, I left class because I had to go number 2. Yes, I went number 2 in the school bathroom, okay? I had no choice. But anyways, the fire alarm goes off as I'm there. And if you've ever been in the bathroom when that alarm sounds, you know that it is loud in there. So I'm freaking out because the teacher never told us the fire drill was happening, so I didn't know if it was real. So I'm there trying to finish as quickly as possible just in case there's actually a fire and I need to get out. So I start wiping like there's no tomorrow. But the only problem is, every school uses toilet paper thinner than a celebrity on Ozempic. So I'm wiping for like 10 minutes using the whole roll until finally, it was good enough. So I quickly flush the toilet and run outside to see my whole classroom lined up. So I join them, but my teacher sees me and goes, Tyler, where were you? I just took attendance and you weren't there. Sorry, Mrs. Slater. I was busy fighting for my life. Maybe you should get some toilet paper. That doesn't make me feel like Casper the Ghost is wiping me next time. Did anyone else ever have a classmate who would only show up to school like once a month? And whenever they showed up, it felt like a special occasion because they were normally never there. I have no idea how these types of people pass their classes though, because there was one kid I sat next to who literally did not show up for 25 days straight. So the day he came back, I was like, bro, where were you? Did you go hike Mount Everest or something? And he says, nah, I just went to see the 7 wonders of the world with my family. Huh? Why'd you just say that like it's normal? Like, that's the tone I use when I have to tell someone I clogged the toilet. But I did not like sitting next to him because when he finally got back, we had a group project to do. But 3 days later, he was gone again and he didn't return for 2 weeks. So I had to do the whole project on my own. He just got done seeing the 7 wonders of the world. Where was he going this time? Mars? You know, actually, don't even answer that, because he probably was. Nobody talks about the difference between dress codes for girls versus guys at school. Because you would have thought everyone in my class was super down bad with how much the students got dress coded. Like, the girls would get so angry because anything they tried to wear got them sent straight to the principal's office. There was one time where a girl wore a long sleeve shirt that completely covered her whole body, but it was a little baggy around the neck. So when she adjusted it, you could see her shoulder. And the moment the teacher saw that shoulder peeking out, he sent her straight to the office and she came back with a XXL gym shirt on. But what even is the thought process there? Are there really people at school gooning over a girl's shoulder? I mean, I thought toe fetishes were weird, but y'all are taking it to the next level. Meanwhile, dress codes for guys at my school was basically non-existent. I remember during Halloween, one kid literally did not wear a shirt to school, and the teacher didn't care. Honestly, my theory is that the dress code is for the teachers, not the students. The homeless man I just caught digging through my back.
ওরা তোর খানদানে ফেরত যাবার পারে না।
আমি আব্বা আমারে বুঝামু।
কি বুঝাইবা তুমি?
হয় না কি? তুমি আমারে বুঝাইতে পারতা। আমারে মারলা। ওসব আমগো বংশে
আজকে এইসব হইতেছে। আব্বা, আমি কই যাবো? আব্বা, আপনি আমার প্যারা ড্যাডি আব্বা।
এই তুই আমার দাঁড়াবি না, দূরে থাক, দূরে থাক।
আমি খাটে ঘুমাচ্ছিলাম, আমার লাথি মেরে খাটে তাহলে ভাইজান লেটে সারে ঘুমাইছে।
হারামজাদা, মিছে কথা কস্তুর।
বউ সেবা সুন্দর করে না করতে পারলে জামাই পিটানোর রেওয়াজও আছে। আই তুমি কুস্তি পারো?
না।
জি ভাইজান, ভাবি ফালতু খানদানে। কইলাম আজকে তো আপনার বাসো যাই।
তো কি টিপে? কল্লা।
লাগলে হেরাও টিপা দিমু। তুমি বরং আমার হাতটা ব্যথা করতেছে, হাতটা টিপা দাও।
হয়ে যাইবো। যা মন চায় তাই করো। এই ফোন আমি দিব না। কার লগে কথা কইতাছো হ্যাঁ?
আমার ফোন দাও।
আরে বাপ রে বাপ, কইতেছো কি তুমি? আমার খানদানি পোশাক আমি খুলে ফেলামু, তুমি কি আমার অর্ডার করতেছো?
শিউলিমালা যা কয় তাই অর্ডার।
এসে আমি দেই কালমু কিন্তু কইয়া দিলাম।
আম্মা,
ওই কি ভাবতাছো? ভাবাভাবি বাদ দাও কইলাম। অহনি পোশাক চেঞ্জ করে আসো, নাহলে তোমার সারা রাত গা চুলকাইবে। আমি শাহজাহানের আব্বা আম্মার দিলে চোট পচাইছি, এর প্রতিশোধ নিতে গিয়ে শাহজাহান তোমাকে মধ্যে।
ওগো, কতদিন ধরে তোমার লাগে আমি কথা কইতাছি, মাগার
কি করো নাইকা? হ্যাঁ, আরো থেকে আউনের পর থেকে কি করতেছো? ফোনের ভিতরে হান্দায় রয়েছো।
আব্বাই তো মা গো মা, আব্বাই তো দেখি হেভি পাঙ্খ।
হুম, নিশ্চয়ই কোনো ভেজাল আছে। ওই দেখি কার লগে ফিল্ডিং মারতে।
কি আবার সকাল সকাল ঘুম ভালো হইছে, তোমার আব্বার লগে দেখা কইরা এলাম, হাইটটা গেছিলাম, এই ঘটনা।
তুমি রাগ করো না,
রাগ তো তুমি করবা, খারা খারা চায়া দেও।
আমি তো ভাবছি ডাকাত পড়ছে নি।
এই শাহজাহানগর বাড়িতে ডাকাত আইবো এমন কোন মায়ালাল পয়দা হইছে নি? তোমার বিছানা আমি ভিজায়া দিছি গা।
এটা তুমি কি করছো?
কি করছি, ঘুমাইবা না?
তোমার পূর্বপুরুষের মাথায় কি সমস্যা ছিল আব্বা?
নাটকের পর কয় কি শুনছো ওই বেটা?
আব্বা জান, আপনার পোলার এখন জিগান তো রুটি গরম না ঠান্ডা?
বাপ রে বাপ, শুনছো নি একেবারে ডর দেয় তো বলে খুশি খুশি করে কাটতো হয়েছে। আপনার ডর আপনার পকেটে থুয়া দেন।
খানদানটা আমার কত উচ্চা দেখতে হইব না?
দেখতেছি তো, উঁচা ভি আর লম্বা ভি কুচি কুচি করে না কাইটা ফেলাইছি আব্বা। আমার তো মনে করে যখন ডর দেখাইতে দেখাইতে আমি দেখেন আপনি কি করি। ঘরে আইলাম না, এখন দেন না আসমানে ঠাড়াল লাহান একেবারে কাঁপায়া দিমু।
আচ্ছা, আপনার
বিষ খাস, বিষ বিষ কিনা লইছ।
আমি অ্যাঞ্জেল সোনিয়ার লাগে কথা কইলে তোমার সমস্যা কোথায়?
আমার সমস্যা নাইকা।
হ্যার বাদে বই আবার পানি লয়েছে, সেই পানি বিদিছে ফালায়া। এমতে করে বই বারবার পানি আনে আর জামাই বারবার পানি ফালায় দেয়।
আরে হইতাছে মায়া গো আসল ঠিকানা।
তোর বাপে ঠিকই কইছে, সাজা যদি আর একটা সপ্তাহ আমগুর বাইক থাকে।
এই খুশির খবরটা তো আমি আমার বাসায় দিয়ে দিচ্ছি। আমার আব্বা আপনারে ফোন দিয়া কথা কইব।
হয়েছে তোমার? এই বেটা, এই তুই তো আমার মান ইজ্জত সব শেষ করে দিত।
শুধু কি আপনার মান সম্মান আব্বা জান?
কি কইতাছো এগুলো তুমি? তুমি কইতাছোটা কি? এখনো সময় আছে, তোমার আমি স্বামী হিসেবে।
তো আমি তোমার লগে অনেক খারাপ আচরণ করছি, তুমি আমার কথা রাগ করো না, চলো না বাড়িতে ফিরে যাই।
আমি যে মারছি এটা যদি ব্যাপারতে জানে, মান সম্মান কিছুই থাকবো না, আমি মুখ দেখাবো কেমতে?
দেখো পুরো খানদানে মান সম্মান শেষ।
না 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 না
আমরা হইলাম বড় খানদান, আমগুলো গেছে খানদানি রেওয়াজ দেখাইতে। খানদানি কেচা লাগবো মনে হইতেছে।
আপনার মায়ের লগে একটু ক্যাচেল হয়েছে তো, তার জন্য পরে কমুনে আপনার
কে চালু হইছে না